Hello everyone! I'm going to share with you how I take this butter pecan box cake and take it to the next level. It comes out super moist, and with my homemade cream cheese frosting with toasted pecans, you can't go wrong. Let's get started. So these are the ingredients that I'm going to be using. I have some sour cream, some butter, I have my eggs, I have some light brown sugar, some vanilla extract, I have some maple extract, some milk, and we're also going to make that cream cheese frosting. And this cake was by special request. So in my mixing bowl, I'm going to put my cake mix, and I'm using the 13.25 ounce box of cake mix. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome in, and if you're a returner, welcome back. And if you enjoy my content, I hope you consider subscribing. So next to the cake mix, I'm going to add 1/3 cup of packed light brown sugar. I'm adding in 2/3 cup of milk, and I'm using 2%. You can definitely use either 2% milk or either whole milk. Either one is fine. I'm going to be using 3 large eggs, and I have my eggs at room temperature because room temperature eggs blend better in batter and in your cake mix. And we don't want to forget about the butter. In my cake mix, I'm going to be using 6 tablespoons of melted butter. So I've gone on and I've melted the butter, and I want the butter to cool. So I'm going to put it aside and let it go ahead and finish cooling while we finish getting our cake together. And the butter I'm using is salted butter, but you can definitely use unsalted butter as well. Then I'm going to use some sour cream, and we're going to use 2/3 cup of sour cream. Now when it comes to sour cream, anytime that I'm making my cakes, I like to use this brand of sour cream. This brand is a thicker sour cream than most, and I like to use this brand. I've played around with different ones. My mom always used this one, and so I went back to what my mom always used. And again, we're going to put in 2/3 cup. Make sure that you even off your cups of your sour cream, that you have just the right amount. Now in the description box below, I will have a list of all the ingredients you need to make this yummy butter pecan cake that my daughter says reminds her of butter pecan ice cream. I'm going to go ahead and add my eggs in, and I like to add my eggs in one at a time. I just give it a couple seconds for the yolk to break and for the whites to start to mix into the rest of the batter. And if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to show it some love and give it a thumbs up. Now once I have my eggs in, I'm going to put in my extract. I'm going to be using some vanilla extract, and I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. And be sure to shake your extract because sometimes it can settle at the bottom, and so just go ahead and give it a quick shake. Next, I'm going to use some maple extract, and that's 1/2 teaspoon of the maple extract. Then we're going to put in our cooled melted butter, and this is 6 tablespoons of the cool and melted butter. Now if you are using a stand mixer like I'm using, be sure to stop your mixer and scrape the bottom and the sides of your bowl. Y'all, let me tell you, this batter is smelling so good. So once you're done mixing, and we don't want to over mix our cake, but you shouldn't have any big lumps in your cake. If you have one here or there, but mostly your batter should be nice and smooth, just like mine is. Now while I'm doing this, I do have my oven preheating on 325 degrees. I'm using 2 8-inch round cake pans. I sprayed them very liberally. I sprayed them well. Now you can also spray your pans and also dust them with some flour as well to ensure that they won't stick on you, okay? So I even out my cake batter, and I put a little bit in each pan, and our cakes are going to bake in our oven at 325 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. And you want to check them at around about 16 minutes, 18 minutes, peek in on them just to kind of see how they're doing. Your cake is going to be a nice light golden brown on top, and your tester should come out nice and clean. Be sure also to kind of even out your cakes so you can get equal portions of each of your cakes in your cake pan. I also like to gently tap my pans just to remove any little bubbles that I see coming up from the batter. Well, our cakes are ready for the oven. So our cakes have baked up, and it took them 30 minutes to bake up. I put my tester in, it came out nice and clean. While our cakes are cooling, I'm going to go ahead and toast up my pecans. I like to toast the pecans. You don't have to, but I feel like it really brings out that nuttiness and that deeper flavor of the pecans. And it only takes about 5 to 7 minutes to toast them up. And I like to toast them on a medium heat. And you want to make sure that you're constantly moving them around in your dry skillet. And then once they're nice and cooled, I go ahead and I chop them up. For my homemade cream cheese frosting, I have 1.5 sticks of soft butter, and you want your butter nice and soft. And this is salted butter that I'm using. Now, if you're using unsalted butter, you want to put just a little pinch of salt, just regular table salt, just a little pinch of regular table salt. Then I have 1 8-ounce pack of cream cheese, and my cream cheese is nice and soft. And you want your cream cheese and your butter to be nice and soft because it's gonna mix and blend better. And I like mine to be a nice uniform color before I add in the powdered sugar. Something else that you may want to be mindful of when you're mixing the cream cheese and the butter together is that you want to stop your stand mixer if you're using a stand mixer and just kind of scrape down the sides and the bottoms. And I do that just to make sure that there's no large pockets of cream cheese or butter that are left unmixed. Then I add in 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, and my measuring cup is a 1.5 cup, so you use 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. I get the mixer going again, and then once you want to start your mixer kind of on low, so that way your powdered sugar doesn't just kind of splash all over the place, which I've done that before. So be sure to start your mixer on low. Then I add in some vanilla extract, and I added in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I was using a 1/2 teaspoon measure, but that was 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract that I added in. And be sure to also stop and scrape down the sides and the bottom. And I know some of these are minor details, but something that has always stuck with me is that my mother taught me, especially doing things in the kitchen, is that the devil is in the details. And so for sure I want to give all of you as many of the details to make a successful cake as possible. And so we go ahead and we start our mixer, make everything mix and blend well. Once everything is blended, you don't want to over mix it because the butter and the cream cheese will just continue to get softer and softer. So you do want to keep it at least at a semi-thick consistency, but just make sure that it's smooth. Now next I go ahead and I put in the toasted pecans that we had and that we chopped, and those little extra tiny little bits, I don't put those in, just the whole pieces, and any of the dust, that pecan, like I'd say dust, we leave that out. And so this is what your cream cheese frosting with the toasted pecans should look like. And remember that you do want to have those pecans nice and cool before we add them to our frosting. Now we're going to go ahead and frost up our cake. And this is enough frosting to either do the 8x8 cake that we're doing or either a 9x9 cake. And so I'm using about 1/3 of the frosting. I'm going to put 1/3 of the frosting for the center. I move it around to the sides. And also when I'm frosting, because we have those pecans in there, you just want to be kind of gentle when you're frosting your cake, so that way you don't end up ripping your cake at all. Then we're going to go ahead and center that second piece, and we're going to frost it, and we're going to move it around the sides. And I just like to make sure that my cake is nice and centered, because sometimes it'll seem like your cake is in the center and you look at it and then it's kind of lopsided. So just be sure to center your cake as best as you can. I like to use an offset spatula. If you have an offset spatula like I'm using, or you can also just use a regular butter knife, will also do the trick as well. Something I like to do is I take the frosting and I move it from the center very gently to the sides, and I just kind of move it to the sides, and then that way I can just negotiate it around the sides of my cake. I have found it easier to frost the cake like that. And then also what I do is I put some frosting on the bottom layer, and then I bring that up to the top layer that I've kind of been cascading down. This recipe will also work great for cupcakes. The box says it makes 22 cupcakes, so you can probably get 22. If you want to do tiny cupcakes, you could probably squeeze out 24, but generally a nice size would be the 22 that the box recommends. And if you put this frosting on top, you will definitely be the hit of the party. If you take some butter pecan cupcakes to a party, just share with them that you saw it on Dyvonne's Cooking for the Family. And if you do opt to do cupcakes, you will have enough frosting, depending on how much frosting you want to top your cupcakes with. You will have enough frosting to either do just the one batch of cupcakes, or you can do a double batch of cupcakes using then 2 boxes, and then spread your frosting amongst those 2 boxes of cake mix that you decide to do. Well, our cake is nice and frosted up. It's looking good. But what we want to do is we're going to let it kind of firm up some before we actually cut into it. I found that it's a little bit easier to cut into the cake if you, especially when you have like nuts in your cake, frosting, is to let it firm up for about 30 minutes to an hour or until you're ready to serve it. And then we're going to kind of cut the cake then. And then what I like to do is I just like to kind of clean up any frosting I had on my plate. So I'm going to put our cake in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes up to an hour, and then we're going to go ahead and cut into our cake. So our cake has been in the refrigerator for 1 hour, firming up. Let's go ahead and cut into it. It is looking so good, and it is cutting so nicely, and putting it in the refrigerator for that little bit of time really makes a difference when it comes to slicing it. So let's come on and let's see how it's looking. Oh my goodness, it looks so good, y'all. I cannot wait to share this bite with you. This is the first bite, and I'm going to give this first bite to you. Come on, cake, now get up on my fork. So this bite right here is for you. Go ahead and take your bite. Now I'm going to take my bite and see how we did today. Family, we have outdid ourselves today. I hope you give this recipe a try. This cake was by special request, and I hope you enjoy it. Well, that is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me in my kitchen. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's free. If you like this video, don't forget to show it some love. Give it a thumbs up and click share, and share it with a friend or family. And don't forget to click that notification bell so you can come back and visit me again in my kitchen. And remember, it's always good when Dyvonne is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.